Imagine a world where nothing feels real, where every sound, every face, every shadow could be a part of your mind playing tricks on you. This is the daily reality of Nathan, a man trapped inside his own mind, fighting battles no one can see. Voices whisper, figures move in and out of focus, and with each step, he's left questioning what's real and what isn't. This is not just his story, it's a journey through the pain, confusion, and courage it takes to survive when your own mind is your biggest enemy. For Nathan, every moment is a struggle, a fight to hold on to his sanity. Join us as we dive deep into the life of a man living with schizophrenia.
The insistent chirping pierced through Nathan's sleep, a discordant alarm in the symphony of whispers already playing in his mind. The cacophony of thoughts was relentless, a never-ending stream of noise. He opened his eyes, greeted not by the familiar sight of his bedroom, but by a kaleidoscope of shifting colors and patterns. The room seemed to warp and twist, a surreal landscape that defied logic. A cold dread gripped him. The day had begun, and with it the battle for his sanity. Every morning was a struggle, a fight to reclaim a sense of normalcy. He sat up, his heart pounding against his ribs like a war drum. The anxiety was palpable, a physical weight pressing down on him. The voices, faint at first, grew in volume, a chorus of condemnation and ridicule. They were relentless, a constant reminder of his perceived failures. They whispered doubts, amplified insecurities, and spun tales of paranoia that pricked at the edges of his reality. Each whisper was a dagger, cutting deeper into his psyche. Each day felt like waking up in a strange and hostile land, his own mind the enemy territory. The world outside mirrored the chaos within, an endless maze of confusion. He yearned for a moment of peace, a reprieve from the relentless assault. But even silence was a minefield, pregnant with unspoken threats and lurking dangers. The quiet moments were the worst, filled with the anticipation of the next wave of torment. The bathroom mirror reflected a stranger staring back at him, his face etched with exhaustion, the weight of sleepless nights evident in the dark circles under his eyes clouded with fear, a deep-seated terror that seemed to grow with each passing second. The face in the mirror twitched, a subtle mockery of his own anxious expression, as if the reflection had a life of its own. Freak, it mouthed silently, the word a venomous barb aimed at his already fragile self-esteem, cutting deeper than any physical wound. The voices grew louder as he tried to focus on his morning routine, their incessant chatter a constant reminder of his perceived inadequacies. They commented on his every move, criticized his appearance, and dissected his flaws with ruthless precision, and questioned his every thought, planting seeds of doubt that took root and flourished in his mind. A wave of nausea washed over him, the familiar sensation of unreality making the room sway, as if he were on a ship in a storm. He splashed cold water on his face, desperate to ground himself, to chase away the shadows that clung to the edges of his vision, hoping for a moment of clarity. But the voices were relentless, their insidious whispers weaving themselves into the fabric of his thoughts, indistinguishable from his own, leaving him questioning his sanity. Stepping outside his apartment door felt like stepping onto a stage, the eyes of the world upon him, judging, scrutinizing. Every passerby was a potential threat, their faces contorting into sneers, their whispers carrying veiled insults meant only for him. He kept his head down, avoiding eye contact, his body tense with the effort of navigating a world that felt perpetually out of sync. The rumble of a passing bus morphed into the growl of a monstrous beast, the laughter of children into the cackle of demons. He clung to the fringes of reality, his senses overloaded, his mind struggling to process the sensory input bombarding him. A simple trip to the grocery store became a Herculean task, fraught with paranoia and the ever-present fear of unraveling. He had learned to wear a mask to project an image of normalcy that belied the turmoil raging within. He forced a smile, engaged in small talk, and pretended to understand conversations that seemed filtered through a veil of static. But the effort was exhausting, each interaction draining his already depleted reserves. He longed to rip off the mask, to scream his truth to the world, to let them see the chaos that reigned within. But he knew the consequences of such vulnerability. He had been there before, lost in the labyrinth of his own mind, and the memory of that terrifying freefall was enough to keep him tethered, however tenuously, to the pretense of sanity. Nightfall brought no peace, only the heavy cloak of darkness that amplified the whispers in his head. He lay in bed, his body exhausted, his mind a whirlwind of fragmented thoughts and terrifying hallucinations. Sleep, when it finally came, was a restless escape, haunted by nightmares that bled into his waking hours, blurring the lines between reality and delusion. He was trapped, a prisoner in the solitary confinement of his own mind, with no escape in sight. The nights were long, and the days offered no solace. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the cracks in his blinds, he knew the battle would begin anew. He was Sisyphus, condemned to eternally push the boulder of his illness up the mountain, a task that seemed insurmountable. Each day the boulder would roll back down, crushing his spirit, leaving him in a never-ending cycle of hope and despair, with no end in sight.
This is the reality of someone living with schizophrenia, a constant battle within their own mind, where the line between what's real and what's not becomes nearly impossible to discern. It's a fight for survival, for clarity, and for hope. If you felt the weight of Nathan's struggle, if you understand even a little of what it's like to fight a battle no one else can see, let us know in the comments below. Your thoughts, your support can make a difference. If you want to hear more stories like this about real struggles and real strength, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share your thoughts with us. Your voice matters.